All right, welcome everyone. Hopefully everyone's having a good week. Happy Thursday. As always, I'm Jalen Vasquez, the director of Freelancers Hub. It's our first virtual event in a very long time. We haven't had a virtual event in a while, but today is Conquering Imposter Syndrome, the #1 key to success, with Miss Diana Zelvin, who's no stranger here at Freelancers Hub. We've had her here several times and leading this workshop a couple times for us in the past. And honestly, I'd say it's probably one of our members' favorites workshops, just talking about imposter syndrome, talking about just self-doubt and kind of feeling unfulfilling and unsuccessful. But we're going to be talking pretty much why that is, how to overcome it, different things you can do about it, and just really how it affects you and your business. And hopefully once you conquer it, you can grow and be more successful with whatever it is you may be doing in your endeavors. Just a little bit of about our speaker. So Diana is a business coach, psychotherapist, and entrepreneur who helps freelancers and business owners build profitable businesses that they love. For almost 30 years, she has empowered hundreds of professionals get unstuck, build meaningful businesses, and become happier and more successful in their business and life. In her side hustle, she is also known in the New York City community as a community leader and business strategist who spearheaded impactful community projects and helped organizations with business development and fundraising for many years. And she is a founding board member of the North Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce and co-chairman of the board of directors of the North Brooklyn Parks Alliance. Very happy to have her here back with us. And this event is being recorded. If you do have to dip out for any reason or would like to review everything, you'll have access to the recording for 30 days. And Diana also has a small offer as well for everyone here today that will be presented towards the end. But yeah, without further ado, I'd like to let Diana take over and just welcome us with her energy and grace.
Thanks, Jalen. I think we have to pin me.
Mm-hmm. Does that work? Did that
no,
work? All right,
no.
Zach.
Do I need to?
Nope. Then it's this one.
Okay, great. Hi, everybody. It's nice to see some of you here. I appreciate you having your videos on. Some new faces, some people I know. And so I'm Diana Zelvin. I'm a business coach and psychotherapist who helps freelancers build profitable businesses doing work that they love. And it's great to be back with the Freelancers Union. And today we're going to be talking about how imposter syndrome may be the biggest obstacle keeping you from happiness and meaningful success. Oy. And then we'll discuss what you can do about it. All right, I have a little technical thing I'm going to try, so bear with me.
Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more.
What you say?
Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more.
For those who've been to any of my previous talks, I always like to have a little musical, sorry, now I have to re-navigate things here, interlude. I'd like to have a song that has the theme of the topic. So you're probably wondering, what does hitting the road, Jack, have to do with imposter syndrome? I mean, basically, maybe this is a stretch, but you're going to learn today how to send Jack, that imposter syndrome, that imposter in you packing. You're going to say, hit the road. And for all those of you who stay to the end, as Jalen mentioned, you're going to hear the full details of my special offer for my free, I'll tell a little bit about it now, one-on-one brainstorming consultations with me. But I have a lot more to say about that, so you got to stay till the end. But this talk is one of the most important workshops that I give with the Freelancers Union because learning how to conquer imposter syndrome and mastering your mindset is the most essential work that you need to do to grow your successful freelance business. Now, you're probably here because you're a talented freelancer who offers a valuable service, but you don't feel as confident as you would like. So who here is not making as much money as they want? Okay, put your hell yeah in the chat. That's you. We're going to do a lot of that today. And everybody knows who's on my talks. Like, I like to swear like a sailor. And that's what we do in my workshops. So here needs more clients or work? Hell yeah, in chat. Who here has trouble with their marketing? Who here is at a crossroad in your business? Who here is stressed or anxious about your business? And who here is losing sleep over it? I gotta pull up this chat. Let's see. Oh, good. Someone was wiggling to hit the road, Jack. Jasmine, I love it. Great. So yeah, hell yeah, that's for sure. So, and most importantly, who wants to feel like a confident badass in your business and life? Hell yeah. I know I do. That is my biggest aspiration. So today you're going to discover what the best way forward is for the work you do on your, the work that you have to do is on your mindset. Oh. Let's get into it. So we're going to talk about what imposter syndrome really is, how it may be the #1 cause blocking you from happiness and meaningful success. And by the way, let me know if you can't see this, but you can screenshot it. I don't do slideshows because I find it's a little boring looking at slides. So this is my system. So we're going to talk about what imposter syndrome really is, how it blocks you from happiness and meaningful success, how imposter syndrome is formed, because we're not born with imposter syndrome, right? And what you can do about it. So I'm going to teach you some new strategies that can help you rewire your brain and build your confidence. So how does that sound? Do I hear a hell yeah? Yeah. Thanks, Jamie. You like the old-fashioned way. Me too. Hell yeah. Oh, Linda, she likes to swear like a Marine. Cool. So before we dive in, I want to briefly share a more recent situation I had grappling with imposter syndrome. Yes, that's why I'm talking about it. I know it intimately. So, there's so many times in one's life when you have those imposter syndrome feelings, especially when you embark on something new. So that's what happened to me in late March 2020, when you remember March 2020, when the COVID shutdown happened. I thought, so what can I do to help business owners? And I decided I would hold a business support group. And since I happen to be a member of the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, I reached out to them and asked if they would advertise it in their newsletter. But instead, they asked me, would I be their resiliency and recovery expert and present a webinar for business owners? Well, would I? Could I? Hell yeah. But after I agreed to do it, fear and full-blown panic set in. So even though I'm confident in my abilities to help people as a coach and as a psychotherapist, I really never gave a talk before, like hardly ever. You feel me? I was a total nervous wreck. So who did I think I was giving a talk? Who did I think I was being a speaker? Talk about feeling like an imposter. There's so many things I didn't know how to do, like how to be a good speaker, how to organize my thoughts, how to put a workshop together. What could I teach in one workshop that would really help them in such a dire time? Was I going to engage people? Was I going to be boring or sound stupid? All the things you think about when you think about public speaking. And I was just flooded with all the imposter syndrome thoughts and feelings. Like, are they going to see right through me? Am I going to be standing there naked at the screen? That's like your nightmare. And am I going to look like I don't know what I'm doing? And when they discover what a fraud I really am? Holy cannoli, was I scared. But I worked really hard and managed to put it together. So in April 2020, I presented my workshop helping business owners navigate stress and anxiety in uncertain times. And to this day, the president of the Chamber of Commerce still talks about how that was the most well-attended webinar they ever gave. They had like, I don't know, a couple hundred people on there. The good thing I couldn't see them. I don't know. I guess they didn't have their screens on. He was nervous. So the president was nervous doing something that was so mental healthy, like for a business organization. But obviously, that is exactly what business owners needed at the time. But since then, I've done like, I don't know, 50 or more workshops and talks. And I started to have so much great content from doing all these workshops that I turned it into an 8-week group program. I called it Thrive Now. And I taught that through the Brooklyn Chamber. I taught it in companies and in my own group coaching program. And I found that the content I created in my workshops and Thrive Now program was so important and so impactful for success that I use a lot of it now with my coaching clients. And the content, just to give you a brief idea, includes cultivating a positive mindset, strategies for managing stress, habits, and behavior to manage overwhelm, focus, and productivity, creating powerful morning routines and daily plans, and best practices to boost energy, mood, and overall well-being. And then I was even recognized for my engaging workshops by a large coaching organization, and they asked me to teach other coaches at their annual conference on how to give workshops. So I taught a workshop about giving workshops, and it was so much fun, and I wasn't nervous at all. And even though it took a lot of practice for me to feel confident and develop better speaking and engagement skills, it all led me to give the numerous workshops I do here at Freelancers, which is actually my favorite place to give workshops. But now I love speaking. Can you believe it? And so many significant things came out of that first workshop. But had I turned it down because of my imposter syndrome feelings, I wouldn't have had this whole part of my career and business that I love to do so much, which is speaking and teaching to help empower as many as you guys as possible in your business and life. I like that, Jasmine. Dope. And dope. I want to really encourage you to not wait until you're confident to show up. Keep showing up until you're confident. Does that make sense? In other words, if you keep trying the things and taking the actions, you will build overwhelming evidence for your confidence. And we're going to talk about evidence later. But I overcame my imposter syndrome feelings and was successful at the workshops because I leaned into my authenticity, my unique perspective, and brought my personal experiences in the service of helping others. And I highly encourage you to do the same. Use your authentic self, as your authenticity is your greatest asset. That's right, Jasmine. Keep showing up until you're confident. Yeah. The quote is, don't wait until you're confident to show up, but keep showing up until you're confident. But we have a lot of mindset work to do to get there. So today I'm going to teach you some of the skills and strategies that help me, as well as my clients, get through the fears, conquer their imposter syndrome, and feel more confident. Whenever we start a new endeavor, a new project or job, or try to level up our current business, those imposter syndrome feelings are going to bubble to the surface because we are new to the situation. So that's kind of understandable. But we don't often recognize all the strengths, talents, and capabilities we do already have that lend itself to our new undertaking. So, what is imposter syndrome? It's not a mental health diagnosis, but the phrase provides language and framework for strong feelings people have been experiencing. And because you've heard this term like everywhere in articles and books and social media, when people hear, excuse me, about imposter syndrome, they often relate to it and are like, yes, that's me. That describes exactly what I go through. In fact, some sources estimate that as high as 82%, keeps getting higher, as every year goes by. 82% of the population struggles with imposter syndrome. So you're not alone, if that helps you feel any better. So what is imposter syndrome exactly? Imposter syndrome is when you don't feel experienced enough, qualified enough, acceptable enough, or capable enough. You doubt your skills, your talents, or your accomplishments despite evidence to the contrary. You may think any success you have is because of good luck or timing, and you believe it is only a matter of time before you're exposed for the imposter you believe yourself to be. But underneath all the feelings of imposter syndrome are fears that we are not good enough and not capable enough. That's the big takeaway. That is what imposter, all these things are really, I'm not good enough. And our mindset is the single most important factor affecting our emotions, choices, actions, and results. Excuse me. In other words, what we think about determines the results we get. And if we think we are not good enough or capable enough, then we won't be able to take the actions we need to get the positive results we want. So not feeling good enough causes many fears. Fear of rejection, fear of being judged, fear of not being smart enough or not experienced enough, or that we can't handle hard things, fear of being found out, fear of failure, right? That's a common one. Who here has that fear? As well as a fear of success that always surprises people, but that's when we may not feel worthy of success, or we fear we can't handle the responsibilities that come with it. Mia, hell yeah, exactly. So what is imposter syndrome really costing you? Our fears hold us back because they lead to indecisiveness, inaction, avoidance, procrastination, overwork, and even burnout. And feelings of imposter syndrome can be particularly crippling for freelancers whose success depends on self-promotion, marketing, and networking. Persistent feelings of self-doubt, as well as all of our fears, make it hard to put yourself out there confidently, boldly, and invisibly, to market your talents and service, to get new clients and the work you need, or to get paid what you're really worth. Right? So these are some of the ways that it manifests. Fears, limiting beliefs, indecision, self-doubt, avoidance, inaction, procrastination, overwork, burnout. And these are some of the things it's costing you. A lack of promotion and marketing, lack of new clients, lack of income, lost opportunities, stress and anxiety, and low self-esteem. The fears of being judged or making mistakes inhibits creativity, innovation, and you're less likely to try new ideas or solutions. The lack of confidence causes you, should move out of the way, accept lower paying jobs, overworking, or to avoid opportunities or new challenges. Unfortunately, holding yourself back severely limits your ability to attract new clients, to grow your network, and establish a robust professional reputation, and it keeps you from leveraging your full potential, installs your business growth and financial success. So can you guys, if you feel comfortable, put in the chat, with that in mind, what has imposter syndrome been costing you in your business or in your life? Anybody give you a minute to think about what is it costing you? Miriam, hi Miriam. Procrastination, that's such a big one, right? Jane, underpricing my work, for sure. Tamika, overworking, right? We're going to talk about that, perfectionist. Natalia, it's cost me visibility and being seen, but I see you. I'm so glad you're here. Jessica, many or almost all of what you have mentioned. Oh, Sun, I feel comfortable with skills. My fear is others do not see or respect it. If I do ask for my worth, people will shame or push away. Me, a loss of opportunities. Yeah, for sure. Low self-esteem, procrastination, self-doubt. The cost is getting respected, right, son? Royal, procrastination and indecision is a very common, Jamie, procrastination, low energy and sales calls, right? Your fear makes you constricted. Jennifer, more anxiety, lost opportunities. Una, confidence. I hear you. Mike, self-doubt during presentations. Yes. Eduardo, personal and professional relationships. Karen, not charging enough, for sure. Gargi, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that, Gargi, just feeling bad and unaccomplished. And oh, Shireen, paralysis. It's total paralysis. Yeah, big one. Yeah. Thank you guys. I appreciate your sharing. And I'm sure you can see how you're not alone. Paralysis, rage. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So what happens? We don't reach our goals and dreams, right? That's what happens. Well, that was a short one. Okay. Thanks, Gargi. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, marketing. Marketing, you have to feel comfortable and confident to put yourself out there boldly and visibly. So I want you to think about your fears. I mentioned some of them, and hopefully you have a notepad nearby. And I want you to write down, what is the main fear or fears you struggle with? How do they hold you back? And you guys put a lot of that in the chat, but see if you want to dig a little deeper. And then this is a question. What would your life be like if you weren't afraid? Joel, it's costing time and money. It really is. It really, really is. I'm just going to I give like half a minute, but maybe if you want to take a screenshot, because for you guys who know me and those who don't, I'm a huge fan of journaling. And this is a really good thing to work on and really spend a lot of time thinking about. Right? Okay, give you 15 more seconds to write down. And yeah, anybody want to put down, you guys did a great job of what it's costing you, what your fears are. You want to put in like one fear. See what comes up. So now let's talk about, how does imposter syndrome show up in your business and life? Royal, fear of work being rejected, right? Because if you're a freelancer, your work is like an extension of you, right? So it feels like a rejection of you, right? To some degree. Sun, fear of rejection, loss of opportunity. Craig, that I won't be able to maintain my income. Oh, that's a really big one. Sustainable income. Yeah, I'm glad you're here, Craig. I'm gonna see if we can help you feel more confident. And so how does it show up in your business and life? I mean, everyone has an intrinsic need to feel accepted, valued, and loved. Let me just see. Jennifer, fear of failure and having to pivot. Yes, I love to help people pivot when they're at a crossroad. So stay till the end and we can figure that out. When we are afraid we aren't good enough, we subconsciously deploy ways to deal with it. We attempt to feel worthy, connected, and acceptable by people pleasing and trying to do things perfectly. So I always feel like two big, I just call them symptoms for lack of any other verbiage. I don't know. People pleasing and perfectionism. Those are big, common coping things we do to manage our imposter syndrome. So people pleasing is a big one. It's when you compromise, you capitulate, you bend over backwards, you give up what matters to you in order to please or appease others to get their validation and love. You put your own needs aside to try to accommodate the needs of others and maintain the relationship bond. You say yes when you mean no to avoid anticipated conflict or someone's anger. You're focused on making sure everyone else is happy and you put your own needs last, right? We doubt ourselves and lose the ability to make decisions, and we end up sacrificing part of, and often a large part of our authentic self to feel acceptable. The fear is if you don't meet other people's needs or put them first, then they won't value or love you. So we're taking this deep, but it's an attempt to feel worthy, and deep down, it's an attempt to feel love. Anyone, is there Jasmine, the diabolical duo? I'm going to steal that from you. I love that. It is the diabolical duo, people pleasing and procrastination, procrastination and perfectionism. So yeah, if anyone can relate to the people pleasing, put that hell yeah in the chat. We all have a touch of that. Um, yeah. Yep. Unfortunately, perfectionism, yeah, there's a lot of people, is another, thanks guys, yeah, Jean, both in a big way. I know. Perfectionism is another common subconscious coping strategy to manage your imposter syndrome. So who's here as a perfectionist? Hell yeah, in the chat. It's all sometimes it sneaks up. It's sneaky. It's totally sneaky. I'm a recovering perfectionist. I'm still working on it. When we strive to be perfect, we're actually, Jaylene, unfortunately, I know it is unfortunate. We are actually trying to protect ourselves, right? So that's the reason we're perfectionists. If I'm perfect or do things perfectly, there's no way you'll be able to find any fault with me, right? If I'm perfect, if I do things perfectly, then I hope to feel valued, liked, loved, accepted. And Virgorific. What does that mean, Jasmine? Virgorific. Jamie with OCD too. Yeah, there's elements of OCD, or some people just have that, and that's a real struggle, right? And Royal, yes. Perfectionism leads to overworking or over preparing, right? People relate to that, which is spending more time on a task than necessary in trying to do everything perfectly all the time. You burn out, and it can lead to procrastination, avoidance, and indecision because it's too hard if it needs to be perfect. So let me just avoid it, you know? And you put off the task to fear you won't be able to meet your own high perfectionistic standards, and you'll make the wrong decisions. So yeah, we avoid taking the risk, putting ourselves out there. And again, we put our dreams and goals on hold because we're afraid we can't do it. Jasmine, I'm a Virgo, so perfectionism is almost an inherent trait. Uh-oh, my son's a Virgo, and he is a real perfectionist. We got to work on that with him. Also, this is a total not total non sequitur. I am a big believer in birth order, and my son's an only child, which is like an oldest. If any of you are oldest do generally, not always, tend to be rule followers. People, they like to do the right thing. So they may be more perfectionistic, more people. I'm a youngest of three. We're a little more of the rebel. And sometimes the middle, if you're middle, you're the glue. I don't know. That's another talk. But anyway, Jasmine, yeah, oldest. But the constant pressure you put on yourself to be perfect can lead to elevated stress, anxiety, decreased productivity, and then, like we said, burnout. But if you are a people pleaser or you are a perfectionist, don't beat yourself up about it, because we all struggle with this to some degree, and we do it to try to protect ourselves from judgment, criticism, disappointment, or conflict with others, right? Michelle, I'm stuck in the in that right now by overwriting, making things more time consuming and not making a deadline. Pamela, youngest to 3, not a perfectionist, just perfect. Karen, I'm an only child rebel. I love that. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel without a cause. Um, so is anyone here want to take a gander on what causes imposter syndrome? Right. What causes it? Karen, I make deadlines, but practically kill myself doing so. Karen, I'm in that camp too. Like, I just want to encourage you perfectionists out there. I want to say 2 things about perfectionism and people pleasing. Try to do things and say to yourself, this doesn't have to be perfect, and try to do things not perfectly. You know, quick, messy action is usually the better way to get there, because when we try to be perfect, it shuts us down. And so we may avoid and procrastinate. So it's better to do it quick and messy and get moving and experiment and see what it's like to not be perfect. And I bet you get some good results. And as far as people pleasers, like I do have clients who come in, they self-identify as a people pleaser. And like that's even what they want to work on. And I want to say that if that's you, the fear is that if I don't put other people's needs first, then they won't like me, that I won't be valued, or try to put myself first, or I won't be a good person, right? And I want to say you can put yourself first and still be a good and a kind person. Putting your needs first is not mean you're selfish. It means self-care, right? So I need to put that caveat. It's really important for the people pleasers. And it's very hard because when your identity is wrapped up in putting others first, it's very hard to feel like it's going to be okay to put yourself first. All right. Let's see what came up in the chat. Oh, good stuff. Shireen, the stress is affecting health, professional life, and relationships. Miriam, middle child and people pleaser 100%. Yes, Miriam, sometimes in the middle, you're trying to please everybody, right? Mia, trauma. Craig, low self-esteem. Jaylene, low self-esteem. Right. Jasmine, comparison. Joel, anxiety. Shame. Thank you for saying that, Joel. That's a big one that, people feel shame even saying shame, right? It's down there. It's at the bottom of this not feeling good enough. We feel ashamed that we're not good enough. Michelle, all the put downs from my mother, no matter great things I did. Exactly. Daniel, middle child, people pleaser and problem solver for too many. Shireen, I don't feel like it's due to people pleasing. I'm a single mother. I have no one to depend on. Sorry, I shouldn't read all these, but me in the end, that pressure of having others depend on me causes stress and paralysis. Okay. So yes, someone talked, was it about their, Michelle, about their mother? That's what we're going to talk about. Unfortunately, as a mother, a parent, a lot of it we can poke the blame on them to some degree. But first, it's society, right? There are a ton of messages we get from our culture that we're up against. We're bombarded with messages in advertising, social media tell us we're not good enough. We don't look good enough. We don't have the right things. We aren't successful enough. We're not living as fabulous a life as it looks like others are, right? Holy moly. It's truly very hard not to be affected by all this. But if we are especially vulnerable to these, we are particularly vulnerable to these messages if there are other factors causing us to not feel good enough. So how we feel about ourselves mostly shaped, and Michelle said it, by messages and experiences we received early in our life. Even though feelings of not being good enough are so universal, it's very individual in how it forms, and gaining awareness of how it took shape for you can really make a big difference in how you choose to address it. So in my practice over the years, I've seen so many different kinds of scenarios that cause people to not feel good enough. And while, most parents, myself included, do the best they can with what they know, right? And often they think they're doing what's best for their children. But they may not even be aware of the impact of certain kinds of parenting. So for example, and this is pretty common, giving conditional love leaves a child feeling that being loved comes with certain conditions. This is where the people pleasing comes in. Conditional love is if you do what your parents want or become who they want you to be, people pleasing, then you get their love and approval. If you don't do what they want, you don't get love or approval. So see, like your love from your parents is dependent, and you like have to be the people pleaser, right? In those situations, you really don't have a lot of choice, or you could totally rebel and then you cut the tie with them, and that's even worse. Even though I'm a rebel. Using punishment and reward teaches children that love is conditional. If you do what I want, I will reward you and love you. If you don't, I will punish you. And that can feel like love withdrawal, punishing. I'm sorry. Sorry for you parents out there who use punishment and reward, but maybe you won't after this talk, and we can talk more about that. There's a great book, by the way, for you parents, Unconditional Parenting, something like Raising Kids Without Punishment and Rewards by Alfie Kahn. It's the best parenting book out there. Okay. Conditional love makes a kid feel that they are only good enough when they are doing right thing by the parent. And if your parents were too judgmental, they were critical, they were controlling, that can lead you to not feeling good enough, or any kind of trauma, big or small, seemingly small trauma, but that can leave a child feeling subconsciously that they are intrinsically bad, which is why they receive bad treatment or bad things happen to them. And that's what I went through. My mother was physically abusive, and that's how I became a therapist, because feeling that I'm bad, right? And that's the not good enough. So I had to do a lot of work. Everybody should have a therapist and a coach. We gotta deal with all this stuff. And even your parents' own struggles with if they had depression or anxiety or other mental illness, that can cause children to feel like they weren't enough to make their parents happy or well. Or if you had a parent who had, I don't know, I've had a few clients who had parents who had severe health problems throughout their childhood, and that can make a kid feel not good enough too, like they can't fix them, they can't help them. And even kids of divorce can feel they weren't enough to keep their parents together. I mean, sometimes, not always. Or you didn't feel good enough because, and this is more than your community and society, you felt different from your peers. Or maybe because of you didn't feel good enough because of your religion or your ethnicity or your socioeconomic level or your gender or your sexuality or your appearance, or maybe you have a disability or learning issues. It's pretty common. Any of these issues may have caused you to feel different from the other kids and less than them. Well, there's a lot here. Pamela, it's hard when your life depends on it, aka you're not independently wealthy. This is why I'm here. I'm not sure if I believe in imposter syndrome. You don't have to believe in it, Pamela. Just you want to think about, it's really about confidence, right? We're talking about confidence. And Jim, that happens in families and in business. That's right. My God, how can I forget that? It definitely happens in business. But even with nurturing and loving parents, sometimes it's other figures, like can be employers, right? I didn't even think about that, who may have hurt us. Other family members, siblings, teachers, athletic coaches, babysitters, friends, or peers who were hard on us, or maybe they bullied us, or maybe even they were abusive. The most common denominator I find with people who don't feel good enough is that their parents didn't show them that their feelings and their needs were a priority, and they didn't give enough support and approval or interest in their child's emotional life. And when any of these children in any of these scenarios become grown-ups, they still need the acceptance and the love they never got, and subconsciously look for validation that they are worthy and lovable in their life. People pleasing, perfectionism. And listen, this is actually most of us, right? So anyone out there who can relate to any of the things that I talked about, you could put a hell yeah in the chat. Anything you went through, growing up that maybe contributed to low confidence issues or not feeling good enough. And since I want you to come away from this talk with more insight about yourself, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to jot down in your notes. Do I have this up there? Oh. So busy talking. This is what causes imposter syndrome. These things we talked about. Right? Conditional love, judgment and criticism, trauma, different from peers, being bullied, emotions and needs were not a priority to parents. This all still affects us. Right? And society, right? Society. Okay. It's a low-tech way. It's not always without its issues. So I want you to think about, when did you first notice not feeling good enough? And I think, just I'm looking at the clock, I want to be mindful of the time. Take a screenshot, work on this after, give yourself some time. How old were you? What were the circumstances? And how do you think it impacted your self-esteem in life? Like, maybe you can come up with just like a scene or some themes. Jasmine, yes, they are some hard-hitting questions. They're good, juicy questions. Jim, not as a child, but with business relations, bosses, clients. Well, I want to say this. I have had, some clients that tapped into my, clients who are devaluing of me from time to time. And that really was troubling, but it wouldn't bother me if that issue wasn't there in me already, right? So if you have a boss, I mean, sometimes they're out of control, right? They're narcissistic or things like that. It is hard to not let it penetrate you, but if you already have this issue, you're going to feel it more, this issue of not feeling good enough. Royal, as a child, felt separate from parents in particular, but rest of him. Oh, so you felt alone. I can relate to that for sure. Thank you for sharing that. So I'm just here to tell you the messages you learned about yourselves are wrong. The bad messages, not the good ones. We're going to work on giving you the right messages through strategies to build confidence, feel capable and worthy. And it all starts with your thoughts. And anyone who's attended any of my talks, they've heard me say this. So I apologize if it's repetitive, but we all have about 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts a day. And 80% of them are negative. So 80% of, let's say, our 70,000 thoughts a day are negative. Holy cannoli, that's a lot of negativity. Most of these negative thoughts are directed at who, ourselves, and no one is harder on ourselves than we are. These negative thoughts happen automatically out of our awareness and come from our subconscious mind. And guess what? Our subconscious mind is 95 to 98% of our mind. That means we only have 2 to 5% of our mind is our conscious mind. And that means we are being driven all day by our subconscious mind and whatever is in it. What's in it? Negative thoughts. But most of us aren't even aware that all day long we have this running dialogue. It's a litany of criticism and negative beliefs. So how the hecko are we supposed to feel confident and good about ourselves when we trash talk ourselves all day long and we don't realize the toll it takes on our mood and self-esteem? And often the things we say to ourselves, we'd never say to friends or even strangers, right? On top of that, negative language draws more of that to us. So negative thinking attracts negative results. Positive thinking attracts positive results. For those of you who know Tony Robbins, he likes to say, where focus goes, energy flows. Where focus goes, energy flows, meaning you attract what you think about. So if you repeatedly think, I can't get more clients, it's going to happen, then you betcha you won't be getting any more clients anytime soon. And if you think, I'm not good at marketing my business, then you won't learn to get any better at marketing your business. And if you think, I'm unable to make more money, you will continue to keep from taking the steps to make more money. Our negative thoughts make us feel helpless and bad about ourselves. Positive thoughts make us feel empowered and more confident, right? So that's what our work is here. If we want better results personally and professionally, we need to work at changing our thoughts and what we tell ourselves, because our thoughts trigger our feelings. So this is the next, yeah. So our thoughts trigger our feelings, and our feelings lead to the actions we do or don't take, right? Because procrastination, we can call it an action. And then the result is nothing happens, right? But this is the progression of how we get to results. So for example, if you think, I'm afraid of sending emails to my warm market, because when I like to recommend this to people, send your warm market or friends and family, they're like, oh no, I can't do that, right? Because then they will judge me. And so that's the thought. The feeling might be you feel anxious and scared. And then when you feel anxious and scared, what do? Nothing, or avoid or procrastinate. You don't send the emails. And then what happens? What are your results? You don't get new clients. But if you choose to intentionally think, now you like shift the thought, and this is what we're going to work on. I can send emails to people who know me, as my friends want to support me. Or you could think they won't know what I'm up to unless I tell them. Or they may know someone who needs my help. And this is one of my favorites. I have so much value to offer, right? So let's say you think that I have so much value to offer. Then what are the feelings? You might feel a little more at ease and a little more confident. And then you will take that. And when you're feeling more at ease and confident, then what action will you take? You send some emails. And then with the results, I guarantee something positive will definitely come of taking action. But it starts with changing the thoughts. And if anyone knows about that, it is Oprah. Oprah knows everything. I love her. Thoughts are the greatest vehicle to change power and success. Everything begins with thoughts, right? Thoughts are the greatest vehicle to change power and success. Oh, everything begins with thoughts, right? So we're going to work on changing your thoughts so you can get the results you want in your life. So I know you're like, what are the strategies already, Diana? Let's get into it. Okay. People with imposter syndrome often chalk their success entirely up to luck or outside factors. Imposter syndrome thoughts convince you that your accomplishments don't really count and you're going to be found out as a fraud. Doubts creep in because it's easier to remember our faults and much more difficult to remember successes. Did you get that? So we have to work, we have to be intentional about remembering our successes. So we're going to talk about how to counteract your doubts. So the first strategy is, I want you to acknowledge what you've achieved, your accomplishments. And I know this is a little tricky for some people. Like I have a client who's brilliant and talented, and she doesn't think of some of her biggest accomplishments that are even accomplishments. Like just for example, she went to an Ivy League school. Okay, to me, that's quite an achievement. But in her family, one sibling is a doctor, one's an attorney. So she feels she's the youngest, she's less than. And she was bullied as a kid. That's what I found out later. So she doesn't even value her accomplishments, but we have to, right? So set aside an hour or two to create a master list, writing down all you can think of that you've accomplished in your life, like everything, from present day back to when you were a kid, like getting a good report card, or you won an award, or you played a sport. I played softball. I wasn't very good, but I did learn how to bat lefty, and that improved my game. So that was an accomplishment. Did you play an instrument, or you mastered something like chess or roller skating? I love roller skating, so I put that in. So write down all the things you can think of that you did that were hard and easy, because sometimes things you're good at that come easily, people don't think it's an achievement or accomplishment. But like if Picasso could do a painting in 1 minute with a brushstroke, a face and 2 eyes, a nose and mouth, and it sells for, $20 million. Does it make it less noteworthy? No, because he had all this talent behind that he was able to do that in a minute. So don't belittle your things that come easily to you. They're very noteworthy. And, put everything like graduated high school, graduated college, getting your first paid job or project, your first apartment, or maybe you bought a home, or you traveled alone. Maybe you bought a car. Maybe you're a parent, you're raising a child, or you're learning a new, skill or activity. Get in the habit of writing down daily what you've accomplished the day before and that week. Include all things, like I said, big or small, that you went to the gym twice this week, or, you redid your LinkedIn profile you've been putting off, or you sent those pesky emails you've been avoiding, or you worked on your website, like that, anything. So instead of a to-do list, because to-do lists, even though I do keep a list, they do really make you feel bad about yourself, because you look at the list and you're like, oh my gosh, these are the things I haven't done. But if you make a to-done list, then you see all you have done, right? So you're going to make a to-done list. Really, it's also important to acknowledge your strengths that contributed to these achievements. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the chat. There's so much good stuff going on here. Jaylene, great question. I'm going to get to that. Actually, that's in here. So you got to acknowledge the strengths, the skills, the talents that you use that contributed to those achievements. You didn't just achieve them. So what abilities did you use, or what actions did you take that helped your success? And next to each item on your list, write down the strength or strengths that played a role in your success, or like the skills or your superpowers. Definitely like to call them superpowers. So for example, if you did outreach to a previous client, they gave you more work, you used your initiative and courage, right? You reached back out, you were scared, but you took the initiative and you used your courage. If you went to an event and met someone there who was interested in working with you, you used your relationship skills and your chutzpah, your moxie. Or a past client referred you to their friend to help them, I don't know, with their graphic design needs, which means you've done a good job with your graphic design skills, you're reliable and conscientious. So look at all the qualities you use. Looking at them will remind you of all your strengths, capabilities, and expertise, and what makes you, you, right? Review these lists regularly, like often, because again, you're just going to forget. So you want to look at them for evidence. This goes back to the evidence to see how far you've come, and remind yourself of your accomplishments, your abilities, your successes, because it's much easier to be confident in your abilities when you remember them, right? So what I want everyone to do, I want you to put in the chat one strength, one superpower, one thing you like about yourself. What's one cool thing about you? Like, right? I want you to, like you would if you were putting down what are one of the strengths that help you accomplish things. Like, what do people tell you you're good at? Because now we want to shift out of the negative thoughts, right, into the positive. So we'll see what comes up. Nobody. Come on. There we go. Latalia, I have reframed my sensitivity as a strength. Oh my God, I love that. Sensitivity is a strength. And she brings up a great point. Sometimes your Achilles heel is your biggest superpower. All I'm going to say is read Malcolm Gladwell's David and Goliath, because we don't have time to even talk about, I could do a book club for a workshop. But your Achilles heel can be your biggest strength. I love that. I'm amazing at holding space for people, Jasmine. I told my presence is healing. I'm incredibly empath. I'm already getting your vibes, Jasmine. Royal, good writer, good at explaining. We need good teachers. Oh, there's much in here. Daniel, listening and getting to the core of issues. You're a good listener. Jane, intuition and innovation. Oh, I want you on my team. Jim, I understand how to learn new skills and concepts. You're a fast learner and you pay attention. Christopher, I'm an exceptional writer. You go, Christopher. You totally are. Una, diligent and empathic. Very. Mia, I'm a self-starter and founder. I love that. Michelle, advocated for myself during tough times. Good, you found your voice and you advocate. We all need to advocate for ourselves. Susan, integrity, truth teller without being a jerk. I love that. Karen, creating cyanotypes with a different vibe from what most people see in images using that technique. Well, that sounds really intriguing. Okay, let's see. There's a lot more in it. Michelle, sorry, Gargi, I can't read the longest one, but Michelle, open to learn new skills. Shireen, empathy, creativity, and connection. Kudos to all of us show up in the workshop and being present. Jasmine, supportive. Jasmine that's another one of your skills. I love it, right? So here's the next strategy. So now we got to work on those thoughts, right? We want to change them. So part of that was acknowledging your accomplishments. Now you got to change the negative to the positive. And somebody asked me this in one of my talks on imposter syndrome. There is research NASA did that proves if we intentionally work on our reticular activating system, our brain, and filtering out the negative and letting in the positive. We do it a lot, intentionally, a lot. We can change the neural pathways. We do have neuroplasticity, so we can shift our mindset. It takes a lot. And that's what I'm going to teach you, the beginnings of what you can do on your own. So first you have to identify your negative thoughts and self-limiting beliefs. And these are some common things that clients have said to themselves, people say to themselves, I can't do this. I'm afraid I will fail. I'll never make enough money. Things never go my way. I'm not that productive. I'm too lazy. People throw lazy around. I don't even believe of such thing as lazy. I think people are scared, tired, or overwhelmed. My work is not good enough. I have a lot of bad habits. I'm not as good as the others at this, right? So those are some things that people say. Craig, unfortunately, everything on the list, with the exception of things is 100% in my head all the time. Help. Greg, stay to the end, and I have more help for you. So I'm sorry, I'm not laughing. I'm being playful with you, but that's painful. That's really painful. I was going to do writing exercise, but I don't know if we have enough time. So this is what I want to say. I don't know why I timed this, but anyway, I want you to think about and write down, maybe you just do it now, maybe one or two things you said to yourself so far today, right? Or like a theme that you say on a daily basis. Like choose any one of these, Craig. And what are some of these things that you tell yourself? And if people are comfortable, if you can put it in the chat, like, what did you say to yourself today already? All right, I'm going to tell you what I said. I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh, this is what 61 looks like. I'm not a fan of these puffy eyes. Just start like immediately, or, oh, I should have gone to bed earlier. Those are things I told myself, start beating myself up instead of like my first accomplishment. I made my bed this morning. Like I do make my bed every day. So I have like one accomplishment under my belt. Royal, where should I even start? Clarissa, I have to go. Okay, sorry, Clarissa. So just one thing, or write it down for yourself. You don't have to put it in the chat. You guys have been great in the chat. But something, was it about your appearance, your abilities, your work, your bank account? Like, oh dear God, I have no money in my bank. Is it about your personality or your habits or your character? And look at the negative thought and ask yourself, or thoughts, Greg, are they really true? Right? Like, think about the evidence proving these beliefs wrong, right? Our automatic negative thoughts are often distorted and don't fit the facts. So, Mia, I keep taking care of everyone else. I don't know if that's a negative thought, but it certainly is a theme. A negative thought would be like, I wish I'm not doing a good job because taking care of myself, because I keep taking care of everyone else. Right? That might be a little more negative. Jasmine, I'm hard-headed. So these thoughts do affect how we feel and what we do or don't do, right? So if we say them like, I need to take care of myself better, right? Already, like kind of criticizing ourselves. So thoughts, though, are not facts. They are just what our mind is offering us up at that moment. Like maybe, I'm making this up, Mia, but maybe you did yoga twice this week. So that would be a way of putting yourself first and taking care of yourself. So you can shift. And we're going to talk about the shift. But we get to choose which ones we engage with. So just hold your horses for 1 second. Sorry, technical difficulties. I'm sorry, folks. Here we go.
I don't hear it.
I know, me neither. I'm going to try one more time. All right, I'm not, just time. Okay, but you guys can listen to it on your own. It's the song, This Is Me from, I wanted to play that from The Greatest Showman. It's like, I like a good anthem, but it's basically about accepting yourself for who you are. I just thought it would be fun to put it in, but I don't want to deal with my technical difficulties. And Mia, I did yoga. There you go. So sorry, kids. Just let me just get myself back together here. All right. Maybe I can play that at the end. It's a good one to leave on. So now we have to, and I wanted to use This Is Me, the song, because she talks about being a warrior and not letting things penetrate her. And it's about self-acceptance. And I want you to be thinking about replacing the negative thoughts with positive ones. So you want to intentionally replace the automatic negative thoughts. They're automatic. We're not even aware of them. And we want positive ones that are supportive of you and the changes you want to make in your life. And replacing your negative thoughts with positive affirmations helps build self-confidence and resilience, allowing you to recognize your real value. So some positive affirmations, and feel free to use any of these because they're all really great. I can do it. That's a Louise Hay book. I don't know if you know Louise Hay. She's a mindset healer person. That's the name of the book. I Can Do It, right? You can do it. I am growing every day. I have survived a lot. I can do hard things. You sure can, and you have. I know you have. I have value to offer. This is one of my favorite ones. Like when you're beating yourself up or you're afraid to market, you're like, oh, wait, I have value to offer. I am bold. You can be bold. I see possibilities. I don't have it here. I learned a lot this year. I'm going to make today a great day. Like you can decide that you want to make today a great day. And when you have these thoughts, subconsciously your mind starts working towards it. That's why it's not just like toxic positivity, like your mind is really working, even if you're not aware of it, if you do this often. And I have the power to create change. And yes, you do. So when you're home, just because of time, I want you to write down the negative thoughts and then write down the alternative, encouraging thoughts you can say instead. But you need these affirmations to be ones that you can believe and or ones that are aspirational as your future self. And my favorite example, you guys may have heard me say, you know, Muhammad Ali, who said, I'm the world's greatest boxer. You know, he said it every day, all the time, over and over, before he was the world's greatest boxer. But because he embodied his future self, he did become that. He did the things to become the greatest boxer. It wasn't just him talking. But when you believe it, then you start to also do the things. So this is what it would look like. Now, you may not be able to, you can't see this, but there we go. So just to give you example, like on one side you write, I can't do this. I can do this. I'm afraid I might fail. I will learn and grow, right? Because there is no failure if you think that you're learning and growing. I never make money. Well, you have made money, and I will continue to attract prosperity. I can't handle it. I can handle it. I'm afraid of rejection. I have a lot of value to offer. I always procrastinate. I can get things done in my time. Okay, a lot of women, some men, I don't like my body. I love my body. I respect it for all it does. My body is a miracle and a work of art. That's a good one. I can't get clients. And then this is one of my favorites. There are a lot of people who want what I have to offer, right? There are. With 270 million people in this country, there's a lot of people who want what you have to offer. I can't handle this. I can do hard things because you have. And I'm not good enough. I am good enough. My needs matter, right? So that is what it will look like. Maybe take a screenshot. You guys will have the recording of this. And I would recommend spending at least 10 minutes every morning writing down your limiting beliefs, the negative things you say to yourself about yourself. Think about the imposter syndrome thoughts, like ones that arise when you want to get new clients. You want to raise your rates. You want to speak up for yourself. She spoke up for herself. Or you want to move into a new area of work. Remember, because negative thoughts make us feel helpless and bad about ourselves, and often lead to procrastination, avoidance, and inaction. But positive thoughts make us feel empowered and more confident, which leads us to figure out what steps and actions to take to get the results we want. So pick a few of those important phrases like, I can do it, I have value to offer, I can do hard things, and make them visible. Remind yourself of your new positive thoughts and programming by seeing it. You have to see it. It can't just be up here. Put it in Post-its on your computer, your work area, your mirror. put positive self-talk phrases on index cards or on your phone screen. So it's like every time you pick up your phone, you see, I'm a badass at making money or something like that. And then someone asked us earlier about using I and self-talk. So I am a huge fan of self-talk. I did it just this morning on my walk, and I said, I'm going to do a great workshop. Diana, you're going to have a great workshop. It reinforces the affirmations by saying out loud. Like you can't just say it in your head, because research shows that if you say it out loud, it's really powerful and impactful. And you want to do it in first person using your name. So you don't just want to say, I can do hard things. You'll say, Diana, you can do hard things, or Diana, you can make today a great day, or Diana, you have value to share, right? So like over and over and over, right? You're like brainwashing yourself into a more positive place. Because when you say it, you use your name, it's like a friend is telling you, and we're more likely to believe our friends than ourselves, right? And self-talk can be used for motivation, to boost your mood, support, encouragement, or for better performance. And, Navy SEALs are trained to use positive self-talk to get them through dangerous and grueling situations. And majority of professional athletes, they all have coaches. They often have a psychological coach as well as the technical coach. And they do a lot of self-talk to get to their goals. So to get your day off on the right foot, as you're getting ready, repeat these positive phrases aloud to yourself in the mirror, because then you're really now you're really absorbing it. Or like me, when you're out walking or something like that in the shower, say it with energy and enthusiasm. Like, just like, oh yeah, I'm badass. No, you say it like you got to feel it. Because your brain is picking up on what you feel. And think of those times you do feel confident or good about yourself, and try to access that part of yourself. The main goal of these strategies is when it comes to making a decision that you turn up the volume of your own voice in your head and turn down the volume of your parents or everybody else. You want to drown out the other voices. I want you to become the gatekeeper of your mind. Plant thoughts of support, inspiration, and pride of who you are and what you're good at, and not thoughts of criticism and doubt. So what I want everyone to do, thanks, Lauren, Jasmine, I'm hard-headed, Mia. I want you all to put in the chat. Well, in a minute, I'm going to tell you about my special offer, and then stay for the Q&A after that, because I love questions. Jennifer, it's okay. It's a great inspirational song. This is me. Thanks, Jamie. And so I want you, distracting myself. Put in the chat, what was your biggest takeaway from today? What was your biggest takeaway from today? What stands out? Una, I like your refrain might be, I showed up to parent and tried to do all the things I could. Yeah, and that's good enough, right? That's a really good one. Thanks, Royal. Roy, you might want to stay 2 more minutes, because I'm going to tell you about my special offer. Jim, depression does lie. It 100%. Craig, that's true. There's no quick fix, but look, I guarantee if you don't do anything, nothing will happen. But if you start doing these things, you're really working on building your mind. Okay, so Craig brings up, when we get to the Q&A, I'm going to try to get more into this. How can you replace negative thoughts when things happening in life seem to be proving the negative thoughts to be true? So that means your reticular activating system is looking for the evidence to reinforce what you already believe to be true. So what happens is our brain is programmed to look for danger and negativity, and we have to reprogram it. And this comes from our prehistoric ancestors who had to watch out for danger. So their reticular activating system was looking out for danger. You're looking out for, oh yeah, That's the thing that went wrong. That was the thing that went wrong, to reinforce beliefs you already have. So now we have to focus on the things you're doing right, so you can change that, because maybe you'll come on for Q&A and we can talk about it. Because there are things that disprove that. I'm going to challenge you on that. Thanks, Jamie. I'm glad this was helpful. What if you don't believe the positive thoughts? Okay, we're going to get to that in the Q&A. No, it's a great question. Oh, there's so many good stuff here. Evidence and to-done lists. Great. I love the to-done list. Positive reframe and index cards. Imposter syndrome is just something. I don't know what an acronym stands for, but I'm sure it's good, Pamela. Jessica, I'm not feeling alone in my thoughts and struggles. Jane, your strategies are doable. Natalia, imposter syndrome is common, but it's possible to work through it. Michelle, all the constructive techniques are suggested. Okay, I'm going to give you my special offer, and then I'll go to the questions. So if you weren't here at the start, I'm Diana. I'm a business coach and psychotherapist. I help business owners and freelancers like yourselves build more profitable businesses doing what you love. I love to help people who are at a crossroad figure out the best path forward. And I love to help people shift their mindset and start to feel good about themselves. But thank you so much for joining the workshop and coming today and sticking it out this long. I hope you learned a lot and enjoyed everything. Enjoy today as much as I did. And if there's anything you heard today that's been beneficial or eye-opening and you'd like some help directly from me, I'm offering a handful of free one-on-one brainstorming sessions to people who want to dig a little deeper into your business and life and look at what's working for you, what's not working for you, what you really need to focus on to get there. And Jalen, he put I love you, Jalen, my calendar in. So if you want to grab a spot, because on the call, I'll help you find your personal blind spots, figure out the gaps, and more importantly, what you need to do to fix it to get your business moving forward. So if you want to know what it'd be like to work with me directly to help you in your business, we can talk about what that would look like too. But I only have a handful of these slots because I'm only one in me and there are 46 of you. But if you'd like one, the link with the spots, it's in the chat, grab a spot, and then we'll dig in. And if you are going to book a session, I only ask 3 things in return because I only have so much time. Number 1, you need to be ready to take action in your business because we're probably going to dig into some things you want to start implementing so you can get ready to move on stuff. 2, you need to be coachable and open to feedback because that's my job. And to point out things you may not be noticing. And the feedback is probably just what you need the most. And if you book a spot, please show up on time because these spots are limited. And otherwise, you're taking it from someone who wants it. And when we do meet, be somewhere quiet where you can take notes and get the most out of the session. So I also want to say 2 other things. Some people on here, we may have had a brainstorming session in the past. So if so, you have my email, which is diana@dianazelvin.com. I could put that in the chat, or Jalen has that somewhere. Yeah, he put it in. He's on top of things. We're going to set up, so the brainstorming sessions, they're an hour. We're going to set up maybe a 20-30-minute session, and we're going to reconnect, and I'm going to talk about some other new things that I'm working on that maybe I can help you with. So those are for people we've already met in the past. And then for the people who are listening to this in recording and not in real time, if there are any spots left, what you can do is you can find me on Instagram at Diana Zelvin. I'm the only Diana Zelvin in the world. Or LinkedIn, you can DM me there and we'll see, if we can set something up. So, okay. Well, I know I talk a lot and I didn't leave like a ton of time for questions, but and you guys are so awesome in the chat. You have so many great things to say. Sorry. Charlie, right. Charlie, I want to have one of those short calls with you. So you reach out because I want to get into this with you. And you bring up a good issue. You're welcome, Jasmine. So Jalen, Or
Yes.
or do you see any questions in the chat? Anybody have some questions they want to ask now? I think there were some about,
Yeah, I think there was a couple that several people asked more of just like, how do you implement having the positive thoughts when it's just like you're just struggling with the negative thoughts and you're just everything is kind of just falling around, falling apart around you. How do you kind of try to find that positivity when everything else seems crumbling?
okay, so there's a lot, right? It's hard. And if you're caught in anxiety, it's really hard, or, a rumination, it's hard to get out of the loop. But you need to start somewhere. I am a huge fan of journaling. My clients know this. Because the research really shows when you write things down, it's different. When you can't just, all right, I'm going to change that thought in my head. You got to write it down, because that's when your brain really hears it and listens to it. So like I can't read my writing, but every morning, these are things, fears that are worrying me. And then I go back, I've identified 3, and I go back and I write down what I like, what solutions, whether it's an affirmation, see if I, look, I mean, I could share some stuff, but I don't want to take away time for other questions. If like, again, if you don't do anything, nothing will happen. And, depending on, and I do want to say this as a caveat, depending on how ingrained, let's say maybe some trauma is, this is not going to be just enough, right? This, like, if you are in therapy or you want a coach, right, who's going to help you, this is what you can do on your own as an adjunct. So again, if you don't do anything, it won't change. But I challenge you to try some of the reframing, the negative to the positive, some journaling about your fears and problem solving, some making it visible and self-talk, and like get back to me in a few weeks and tell me if you notice anything different. But listen, if you're like, I'm 61, so I don't know, you might be 35 or 47. You might have years of these. The older you are, the more we have to undo. It's really like we were brainwashed, and now we have to brainwash in a positive way. Like, we have to really embody and make this who we are. It takes a lot of practice. It's not a simple, like, you can't just do it one and done. It's just like going to the gym. I always use that analogy. You can't just get in shape and then you're done and then you never go back to the gym. It really is a gym for your mind, and your mind and your mindset is the key to everything we do. I don't know if that is helpful enough. Any other questions? Is anyone, let's see.
Yeah, there's one. Do you have any opinion on bullet journaling? Sorry.
Bullet journaling. Does that person want to come on? I do like when they come on. I don't know what that is, so maybe you can tell me.
Okay, yeah, this is Roy. I don't know. I've heard a couple of podcasts discuss bullet journals, and it's kind of a super to-do list. It kind of a way of managing the things that you have to do. And it maybe the trend in bullet journals is past, but I mean, you can buy specialized notebooks for bullet journals,
So
and it's a way of listing what your goals are, what you need to do this week or this month. And there's a technique for moving things to the next month if you need to reschedule, you rearrange your schedule. But anyway, it seems kind of complicated, and I haven't done it, but I was wondering if anyone on the call maybe has done it.
what I can say to that is, it sounds similar to something I was taught. Was called Getting Shit Done, where you create a master list And then you break it down and prioritize in the categories. And you
Mhm.
know, this is what you're talking about, I think, Royal, is a way to manage overwhelm and
Mhm.
all the things we have to do. And there's research that says every person on any given day has 150 things in their to-do list. And that's why a long to-do list can make us feel bad about ourselves. So I do recommend you have some kind of system to breaking it down to bite-sized chunks. And I think that's like a separate workshop, because that's really about managing your time and your schedule and your focus on productivity. And I love to do that. So if you want to talk to me one-on-one, Royal, sign up for that. But yeah, I think you need systems to manage the whole long to-do list.
Well, and that's the attractive part of it. But the thing I've been hesitant about is that it seems awfully elaborate. You know, there's a
I'm
and
a
it,
big fan of simplicity. If it's
yeah.
too elaborate, it may be the paradox is it may be overwhelming, right? If it's to
Mhm.
manage
Right.
overwhelm, to me, I already feel overwhelmed thinking about all the different pieces. But if you sign up for a brainstorm, we can talk about if that's like your big issue is managing, organizing the things.
Yeah, I'd like
Yeah.
to add as well, specifically to bullet journaling, because I have a few friends that do it, and I've seen how it looks. It looks gorgeous. It's very organized, but I also do not have that personality type to do that. Like I wish I could. Some people don't, and that's okay, but it is very meticulous. They color coordinate everything with different color inks. It looks really good, but in the way I see it, it is a good way to be organized, but I would be spending more time organizing
And
that
just
just
in
than actually getting it
essence,
done.
in essence of time, I appreciate that, Jalen. If there were any other questions, I wanted to talk to Craig, if he's still here, just more about the imposter syndrome issues, because that I think is a really good for another workshop, Royal. I'm going to think about that one, getting shit done. I won't call it that.
Right.
Craig, are you still here? I don't know if he wants to come on, because he asked the question, and this is a good, really good question. I don't know if I can find it, but
I don't think he's still here, but feel
okay.
free.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions? You don't have to come on. You can put it in the chat. Did I miss it? Because there's a lot of good stuff in the chat. Okay, Jamie, look forward to meeting you then. You're welcome, Shireen, Jasmine, Mia, Brittany. Great. Pamela, do you want to come on? Oh, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm reading a million messages here, so I just saw a bunch of letters. I do know a complex post-traumatic stress disorder. What do you want to come on? Do you have a question about it? I can't remember what I read. I don't know if she's here. Okay. Jalen, did you see any themes?
One just came in. Any tips for overcoming the indecisive paralysis of imposter syndrome?
Analysis paralysis. Who
Indecisive paralysis.
indecisive paralysis. Okay. Thanks, Daniel. That's great. Who said that? And do you want to come on?
That is Jaylene, which is funny. It sounds funny for me to say, sorry.
Jaylene, would you like to come on, or you just, or if you're shy, you don't have to. Okay, maybe she's shy. Jalen, oh, sorry, I can't talk about. Okay, what was the question? Can you repeat?
Any tips for overcoming the indecisive paralysis of imposter syndrome?
I feel like I need more information, Jaylene. It really is, you just gotta, and maybe it's thinking about, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? You got to break it down. The paralysis, the indecision, I know it comes out of almost Royal's question. When you feel so overwhelmed with all you have to do, or all you should do, we should all over ourselves, we can go into fight, flight, or freeze. And I think what you may be in is freeze, when you feel paralyzed and you can't make a decision. And I find for myself, sometimes just talking to the right person, someone who is a really good listener, who knows you well, and getting some feedback. What is one step do they think that you could take that you'd be good at? It is hard to break out of that frozen loop on your own. Sometimes though, changing your state is huge for being able to take a step forward. So like when you feel really frozen, you can't make a decision. I mean, I'm big on listening to music. I have a whole playlist. If people want it, email me. It's called Unstoppable. It's my like anthem music that gets me like motivated and pumped up. Journaling helps me think through things. Doing exercise really can, when you change your state, even if it's like 5 minutes at walking at a fast clip, that changing your state can calm you down and can help you. When I say change your state, like your physical state is what I mean. Take action. You have to take action. Paralysis, when you're frozen, maybe with anxiety, one of the best ways to manage anxiety is to take action. It's one reason I walk every morning. It helps dissipate my anxiety. I wish Jaylene was here and we could talk more about it. Jasmine, we do shit all over ourselves. Was that, Jaylene, was that helpful? And is there anyone else? I don't know, Jaylene, how long can we go for questions?
We can take one more question.
Okay. Anybody? Or comment? Question, comment? Anybody want to come on? I love when people come on. Come on, get past that imposter syndrome. It's just us. We're all here to support you. One new message. All right, let's see who that is. Oh, thank you so much. Mike, thank you. You're welcome. Anyone else? I feel like there's somebody has something. Daniel has some thoughts in his head. Christopher. Not to put you on the spot. Well, what was that? Feels like a hope. Like the definitions come too far from its. I'm not sure, Pamela, what you mean, but do you want to come on? Yes, Suzanne, there will be a recording. Everybody will get this. It'll be live for 30 days, right, Jalen?
Yep, I'll email it to everyone most likely later
Okay.
tonight or early tomorrow morning.
Okay, cool. All right, well, I guess that's it. If no one else has, let's see. You're welcome, Mira. I hope it was helpful. Well, thank you all for staying this long. I know I'm a big talker. I do like to answer questions. If there was one more, I'm happy to. But if you signed up for a consultation, then your brainstorming session, and we'll talk about those questions then. And that's it. And I look forward to seeing you guys at the next one. And I appreciate all your input in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Diane, for taking time of your day to lead this workshop. Hopefully our members feel a little bit more confident, whether personally or just within their business. Definitely sign up if you haven't already. Like I said, I will email everyone later today or tomorrow morning with the recording. You'll have access to it for 30 days. So you can recap pretty much all these tips and insights, just all about imposter syndrome. But yeah, definitely stay in touch with Diane and everything she does. Follow her on Instagram and follow us here at Freelancers Hub at NYC_hub. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Take care.
Bye. Thanks, Jasmine. Appreciate that. Thanks for all your comments.
Bye.